Hello, you're watching Rizal's ASEAN with me, Rizal Zulkapli. For this week's episode of Rizal's ASEAN, we'll talk to a social entrepreneur who has a dream to get kids off the streets in Malaysia. Jess Tan had a dream that started when she was 14, when her mother woke her up to tell her that her father was killed by gangsters. Her dream was to get kids off the streets by participating in various development programs. Years later, she started Youth Today, a platform for youth and university students to match their programs with corporate sponsors. I met with Jess to discuss Youth Today's plans moving forward and expansion strategies. So Jess, let's start with Youth Today and the idea behind it, and how did you come about with trying to provide youth in Malaysia with a platform for them to connect with the things that they want and things that they like.
Okay. Basically, this platform itself, I got the inspiration when I was younger. When I was 14 years old, I lost my father. He was involved in a gang fight, and eventually he got murdered. So to me, since 14, I told myself I have a vision that I want to keep kids off the streets. I want to put them into healthy activities, and I want to also put them into development programs. So this is where the idea came about when I was 14 years old. So moving fast forward, basically I built the platform right now, which is youthtoday.com. Right now we cater for close to 500,000 students. Where when they have ideas or projects, they can just approach our platform and put up their basically ideas. And what we'll do is our system will actually connect them to almost all the corporate brands or SMEs in Malaysia that wish to actually contribute to the youth society. So yeah.
So you got the ears and eyeballs of the 500,000 students in universities in Malaysia.
Yeah. So right now we have also 100 universities working with us, using our platform to actually encourage their students to be a part of the program, and also which is why we actually help the university to find cash sponsorship to fund most of their student activities in the universities.
What are some of the key projects that you have been involved in and that you provide a platform for?
Okay, so let me just bring you as a walkthrough as a student. So let's say you're a president of a specific university, right? You come to our platform and you're supposed to run a student-led conference, right? So you come to our platform, you put up your student activity. So most of our student activity range from charity programs, student leadership programs, environmental programs. So it ranges from all ranges of student activities. As long as it's under the umbrella of the university, we're there to support. So as a student, you come on board. Once you post up your event, we also have like features where we support the students to also boost their event, or even they could use our feature to actually sell their tickets and get their friends on board. And this is where we will also match the specific event according to their genre, to the brands that want to engage them. Like for example, we have a brand that specifically want to look at literature English club. So we match it with all the students that actually have English base or focus on literature. So we have different varieties of brands targeting different segments of students.
So already products and services looking to target students have a platform for them to just go and look at what they want to sell and who they want to target, right?
Correct. So on the brands on the other hand, so let's say if they want to engage our platform, as long as their target is 18 to 25 years old, we're the best avenue that they can actually go to. So as a brand, let's say you have a product, right, and you want to reach out to the mass market, what the student will do in return for your cash sponsorship or your marketing budget that you put into is that all the students will basically help to market your product into their university. So by sponsoring the event, you will get basically a roadshow or a booth for the students to actually push out your content, or during the event itself, the MC will actually announce your products or services to the whole university. So this is actually how we actually linked up both brands and also the student community to work together.
And if I'm not mistaken, Facebook also started
with the same idea.
Definitely.
To connect students from different unis so that they get to know each other, they get to know each other's activities and interests. Do you see this scaling up to be as big as Facebook?
This is definitely, Mark Zuckerberg has always been the idol that I've been following, and especially to the trip to Stanford University that I had previously with Magic. Our first stop was actually also to Facebook. So having the ambience and also to learn from basically all these global institutes, it really defines that how a local company like us could actually scale up to different countries and eventually going global one day. So yeah, definitely Facebook is one of the icon that we're looking up to and following their footsteps. But we also have our genre, or the way we're actually targeting the youth, and also eventually expanding to basically as a global platform for young people. Yeah.
And when you had the idea to help youth when you were 14, and now about 11, 12 years later.
Yeah, I'm 27.
Yeah, 11, 12 years later, you are already at a place where you quite comfortably can say that you are helping teens and you are helping kids out there. What's next for you?
So for us right now, with all the data we have on hand, we're looking at expanding to Singapore, Philippines and Indonesia. So this is definitely our next stop. And we're also raising our next investment round, which will be probably closing soon by the end of this year. So that allows us to actually scale up exponentially, especially with the features that we're building, and also our direction towards big data. So how through all this data, we're able to help or add more value to the young people, and also to help the brands to better engage rather than being very spammy. So yeah, these are the new developments that we're looking into. What's
the challenge to scaling up right now, especially to countries like Singapore, Indonesia and the Philippines? Do they have different, explicitly different rules and regulations for companies to go, especially to go into institutions like universities and schools? Oh yes, definitely. So like for example Indonesia, to set up that will probably take half a year. Yeah, so to them, foreign companies, these are different ways, but for Singapore, it will probably take 2 days. So these are different things that we have to go through as we grow global. But that's the perks of being an online or a startup is basically that because it's borderless. So we can actually engage them online first before we actually go on ground to register as a company or so forth. Yeah. You can probably entice 1 or 2 unis to be on the platform to look at how things are on the Malaysian platform, right? Yeah, yeah. If you look at your journey so far, would you say this is something that you've successfully achieved, and would you want to try something else after this, or would you still want to work on youth today? Whoa, I think that my journey just got started. A lot of people say that, okay, we have achieved a certain milestone, but to us it's just like, we just got started and there's so much more to build. Because, based on statistics itself, there's almost 2 billion young people across the world. There's still a lot of work for us to do in terms of helping, especially those from helping privileged youth also, and to target those underprivileged youth. So how can we reach out to all these different rural areas and give the equivalent opportunity to all these young people? So these are still our main challenges. So that's quite interesting, because I think a lot of projects, a lot of activities are centered around youth and urban youth. Instead of the ones in the rural areas. Are you addressing that specific group of youth in the non-urban areas? Yeah. So right now our platform itself, with our 500,000 reach, right, it's not only catered towards Klang Valley area or Selangor area, but we go beyond that. So we've run a lot of projects, like also we've supported students from Sabah, from Sarawak. We brought a lot of different clients that actually their products and services targets the outskirts of Klang Valley area. So these are the things that we're still doing with the young people outside. Yeah. But beyond commercial stuff, are you really helping the youth to maybe get out of trouble when they, to stop them from, going into drugs and negative behaviors? Are you actively looking at that beyond the commercial and products and branding? So for us, if you really dive deeply into, if you visit youthstudio.com and you dive deeply into every project that the students are organizing, most of them are catered towards either underprivileged children, or they contribute with the old folks. The main idea is to keep them busy, but keep them busy with something that can bring value to them.
So these young people, we're trying to give them all the tools and the funds necessarily for them to actually create something of their own, rather than keeping a tray. Yeah.
Would China be a target market for you in maybe the near future?
Near future, definitely, but definitely not right now, because China, as many as know, they are very competitive. If you think you have a new idea here, right, probably 700 of them are doing it right now. Yeah, so that's China.
Let's talk about the youth in Southeast Asia, because I think a lot of this program is centered around, the program is centered around youth in Southeast Asia. When you look at, I'm sure you visited these countries to look at the potential of how youth today can go in. What are some of the similarities and differences that you've identified across these three countries?
Okay, so for Southeast Asia, as a matter of fact, the similarities are quite similar in a way that because Southeast Asia, we share a similar culture among all these different countries because we are quite close together. Like even when I'm in Jakarta or Indonesia, the students are very active, you know, they want to try something new, they're very vibrant, same goes to Malaysia. So we're always there, as a matter of fact, all these young people that I came across with, they're brilliant in their own ways, and also especially Singapore, they're diving into high-tech stuff, and then in Jakarta, they're basically very active in doing agriculture, and then basically we have, what else? Philippines, they are actually looking into different technologies where they are into youth development, and they have a culture of grouping with each other. I mean, like you have this, they have this colonized which they come together. So if you can get their influences, usually you can get all of them coming together. So yeah, these are all the similarities that I see. If we talk about differences, it will definitely be the setup of the structure itself. So as you know, Indonesia, they're huge, right? People in Jakarta you might find them very different from the probably the southern side of the basically the country itself. So their mindset a little bit different compared to the rest. And the Philippines, as you know, they are all scattered around because they have a lot of different I would say seas covering their land. So you have different thinkings when it comes to Philippines itself. So Singapore, on the other hand, they are very close. Yeah, everything they work together. So these are all the different similarities and differences that I see in this.
And that's all the time we have for this week's episode of Rizal's ASEAN. Tune in again next week for more insights into the great minds in Southeast Asia. I am Rizal Zulkapli for Rizal's ASEAN.